Hey, it's Romy. Welcome to my channel, Virgo. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in for your June 2021 soul story. If you've got a sun rising or moon in the sign, all my readings are general, but hopefully will give you some heads up into some of the astrological events and also what we see coming through for you in the next few weeks. So we're into Gemini energy, a fellow mutable sign, also Mercury ruled, and lighting up that 10th house of career and purpose, your Dharma really, figuring out what your purpose is, what lights you up and what energy signature you're leaving in the world. Now, Mercury is retrograde through most of June, and it can, scramble those messages a little bit, and it's dizzying amounts of information that is going to be making its way to you. And I suspect it's going to be a time where there are some equal losses and gains. Sometimes we get a bit of a soul nudge, Virgo, and sometimes it's a little bit more of a spiritual slap. And when we're in eclipse energy, it can bring about that really powerful wake-up call that invites you to say, where am I not stepping up? Where am I not showing up in my own life? And so expect the universe to kind of call you out, but from a place of tough love. This is a month where we really see you starting to make some, for you, fairly wild card decisions, but it's going to bring about some really meaningful change. And I think the recognition with the Three of Wands coming through as your main guide to open up this reading is saying that you're not going to find yourself in anyone else, Virgo. This is a month that it's really inviting you to take some introspective time, because we're moving deeper into retrograde season. We've got Saturn already retrograde, Pluto already retrograde, Jupiter turns in Pisces on the 20th, followed by Neptune on the 25th. And of course Mercury, and all of that time is like a deep review. But your energy guide of the Three of Wands is also this gorgeous reflection of where you're ready, where you're preparing yourself to now step up beautifully in one or more areas of your life. You're never going to lose inherently what's for you. And I think one of the things that you might be reconciling quite interestingly with yourself this month, Virgo, is that there can be really beautiful things and beautiful experience, beautiful relationships, that happen in your life, and they're not permanent. They're here for very, very short periods of time, and that doesn't mean that they weren't for you if they're now moving out. And remember, during eclipse season, we have these profound closures and releases and trajectory shifts that happen for us. And so all of it making space for even more to come our way. But sometimes it can, we can kind of get a bit tangled in our thought form, especially during a Mercury retrograde, by feeling like, well, if it was meant to be for me, why is it not staying? It felt good, it was an enjoyable experience, it was something that I thought was the right thing for me, and yet here it is ending or crumbling or changing. But fate is really stepping forward now, and the Wheel of Fortune is an indication of kind of all change. It's this tidal wave that's coming in. And what I want to say to you is that anything that comes through this month feels like it's going to happen on a big scale. So that shift, even if it's an awareness, an epiphany that you come to about yourself, if it's something that is ending or beginning, if there is drama, if there is conflict, but equally if there are amazing opportunities, what it's going to feel like on a personal level for you is a really big deal, because it's kind of like a before and after moment. But what it's meant to do is allow you to step up. It's about this kind of positive charge of energy that you're sort of digging deep and finding within yourself. And sometimes with these eclipse energies, things tend to happen quite quickly and in threes. So you may well have a quick succession of activities, experiences, messages that together are giving you a very clear directive of what you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to be or not be. And you're going to be left with having to make these pretty bold moves through the course of June and into July. Now, Mars is moving into the sign of Leo on the 11th of the month, which of course is, activating that 12th house of closure, but also deep healing and release. And so the desire to want to acknowledge and deal with some of these things is also going to be coming through with the motivation energy of Mars, which is wonderful. Now we need to pay attention because on the 14th of the month, Saturn is squaring Uranus, and this is the second of 3 squares happening in the course of 21. So think back to the 17th of February. That was the first one we encountered. The last one's going to be on the 24th of December. What it's showing here as an indication with the Lover's energy coming through is it's definitely connected for some of you to key relationships and maybe something that you're needing to come into terms or acceptance with within yourself. Because remember, these squares are pushing and provoking and cajoling us, and sometimes kind of rudely awakening us to something that needs to change. It's all about that dynamic between restriction and liberation. And for some of you, you know, we have the Lover's energy. It could be linked into the sign of Gemini, or it might just be a significant relationship, partnership, that you have connection going on in your life. Not necessarily for all of you romantically. This might just be something that's really going to be under the microscope and under the lens of this eclipse energy. And there's kind of a sense of not being able to escape that. And in some ways, nor would you want to, because actually when you see what comes from this transformation, what you see as the internal shifts that are going to be taking place, as that narrative between your lower and higher mind is kind of brought up during the kind of final closure of the Gemini Sagittarius eclipse season, there's something so profound that comes in on that level that is going to be gratifying for you, I feel, and actually help you to just feel even more aligned with yourself. Like we said, you're not going to find yourself in anyone else, so maybe it's about where you're needing to draw some energy back in and take a review and take stock of something in order to make the plans that I think have already been around you for some time. But what that Wheel of Fortune might be bringing in is things that you haven't thought about or considered up to this point, Now, from a career perspective, I think there's some really interesting things on the horizon for some of you. And again, if you've been feeling like you're walking up the mountain or sort of dealing with aspects of change that have felt wildly difficult at times, there is like a fresh wave of energy and inspiration that's making its way directly towards you through the month of June. Now, Venus moves into Cancer right at the beginning of the month on the 2nd, and when Venus is in Cancer, we tend to want to feel our way into things. So it's all about what it's saying to you by way of that emotional conversation and narrative. Does it feel good to me? Does it feel good to be around you? Does it feel good when I'm working on these things, or I'm thinking about that as a possible change or a possible opportunity? And remember, Venus also rules our relationship to the material and the abundance in our life. And with the Page of Wands coming in here, there's something about the need to open up, to start connecting, to start creating, to start reaching out, but also reaching in, because all of that introspection energy with the retrogrades are going to say, you still have so much that you've left untapped, or you've left to the side, or perhaps you haven't really properly discovered within yourself. And it's going to be a really beautiful time when you get the opportunity to do that. When we make our way a little bit further into the month and Mercury moves direct, that's really going to clear your head and clear that sort of chaotic overwhelm and sort of blanket energy that might just have you in a little bit of a headlock at times, especially where I feel people are kind of pushing you, trying to get something from you. Maybe it's an answer, maybe it's an agreement, or it's just like trying to kind of elicit something from you. I've got this sense of sort of outside pressure coming in a little bit. But then when the sun moves into Cancer and we're into that 11th house energy for you, lighting up the way that you communicate with community, with your friendships, how you're using online platforms to kind of really advance you. A lot of what you've learned or you've been thinking about or industriously kind of considering in that first couple of weeks is going to start to feel like you have much more of a plan that you want to put in place for yourself to help pull you forward. Now, full moon in Capricorn is going to be bountifully positive for you in that instance, a fellow earth sign. So it's grounding some of those goals into something that feels far more tangible and real for you, and also will invite some of the reward of things that you've been working on diligently for some time and have felt like maybe it's been a bit stop-start for some time. Now, we also have solstice energy happening in June. So the sun stands still. You know, in the northern hemisphere, this is the longest day of the year. The southern hemisphere, the shortest. And it's all about how you're going to find a new equilibrium and how you harmonize and balance out your energies in this moment. Queen of Cups for me, beautifully coming in to invite some deeper healing around that time. On the same day, we also have Venus trining Neptune, which is going to be gorgeous. So we've got Venus in water sign of Cancer. We've got Neptune in water sign of Pisces. Now, Pisces, of course, being your opposite sign, that 7th house of relationships. So some deep healing around that solstice energy that can take place for many of you in really important connections and relationships in your life. But there's something really quite magical and dreamy about the energy coming in around that time that I think you're going to find very, very cathartic. I also see you much more in an energy, like a receptive energy, to want to take counsel or advice from people. In the first part of the month, it feels like, you know what, I can't take on anymore. It's just like your thoughts just need to be cleared out, and it's much more about you spending time listening to your own wise counsel. But in and around that solstice energy, far more of a sort of community feel, much more of a kind of reaching out to soul family and friendships, and really not only being there for others, but feeling like you've got some support of people coming in for you as well. And I think that's also something that you're going to need at that time, because I do feel, like I said, there's going to be some fairly major changes and shifts that are going to be taking place. For some of you, you might already have experienced this, you know, and this is still the kind of rippling fallout energy of that. But for others, you might just be meeting this head on in the month of June, especially with that wheel kind of taking front and center stage in your reading. But all of this, Virgo, is meant to be helping you to tap into a higher level of consciousness within yourself. You know, the conversation between that ego self and the higher self is being illuminated in amazing new ways. And, you know, I defy anyone to say that you're not going to come out of this eclipse season really feeling like something has changed irrevocably within you. Your Three of Cups wants you to acknowledge and celebrate the progress thus far. And also make sure that you're building time into everything that you do. So if it is a focus that you have around, you know, your relationship, then it's like, okay, make sure you're not losing yourself in that moment. If it's, you know, that you're embarking on something work related, you still need downtime. And you might be playing catch up, you know, you might still be scrambling to try to you know, retrace your steps or get back what you've lost. And, you know, so I understand, because there's this aspect of sort of hunger that's coming through here. So there might be like an urgency that you're feeling, and that's okay, but just make sure, because the solstice energy wants you to do it in the right way so that you don't end up kind of with a really out of kilter kind of pathway moving forward over the next few months, where you'll look back and you'll be like, you know, I had the chance to kind of set a better foundation for myself in June, and I was too focused, I was too urgent to want to kind of catch up or to try to avoid or distract myself from something that felt quite upheavaling in that moment. Now, we also have this aspect of like really close-knit friendships and collaborations coming through. And again, I think in Cancer season, there's the opportunity for you to do that. Just make sure, again, that you're not diluting your energy, and also that you're not kind of over giving or oversharing all of the beauty, all of the magic, all of the ideas and inspiration. And, you know, that's not coming from a place of meanness. It's just coming from a place of discernment about understanding that, you know, what you have is really unique to your energy, and you're meant to be the one to deliver it in that way. And so sharing it out too much ahead of time can kind of dilute it, so that you lose the charge and the connection of what you're meant to channel or receive in that moment. Equally, I think from a friendship perspective, because there's an awful lot of sociability that's coming through, I also see you feeling a little bit stressed out, and it might just be because it's not, you know, you're kind of refinding your steps in terms of that socialization process a little bit, and that's okay too. So just make sure you're honoring yourself and not kind of getting swept up in, you know, what other people want or need from you. Okay, I think there's this sense of you have to really listen to body, mind, and soul through the course of this month and ensure that you are being true to actually what makes you happy, what makes your soul sing, you know. We have this energy of the retrograde planets. Now, when Jupiter turns retrograde in Pisces on the 20th of the month, of course, that is in your relationship house. And so it's almost the opportunity to really consider where there are some weak links and things that, you know, haven't been working in the way that you anticipated or expected them to. But at the same time, coming at it from a new level of spiritual understanding, which means that, you know, the forgiveness, the tolerance, the compassion to yourself, but also to the situation and where you've ended up is going to be really important in order to be able to move forward. Your King of Wands steps forward with heart and a sense of a desire to want to bring more energy into the situation. So if you've been experiencing pockets of your life where things have just felt really stagnant or cold, or certain people or relationships have not been able to deliver or to give, or you found yourself in that situation, something is getting lit up quite powerfully here. That might again feel a little bit uncomfortable, you know, either because it's just so different to what you have been experiencing of late, but at the same time, it also feels like it's asking something of you. I feel like there's big promises here for you, Virgo, either from others, from the universe, even from yourself, but at the same time, they also require you to really give something of yourself. And I think that that's perhaps a part of you that you've kept locked down or shut down, or you've not wanted to kind of really expose or to share or to open up to. And so there is this aspect when I'm looking at this guide coming in with the King of Wands, and it's kind of like, okay, now's the time. You know, the drum is beating to this new rhythm. You know, the fire is full, and we're really looking at where we want to feel more visionary, where we want to take life and kind of live every moment of it. But I have this cautiousness, this uncertainty, and maybe it's just within yourself, whether, you know, can I do this? Can I be this person? Can I allow myself, can I give myself permission to say yes to this? And, you know, of course you can, but at the same time, I kind of feel like you don't have a lot of choice right now either, because when that, you know, that fated wheel steps in, the change is happening anyway, and we want you to get on board and say yes. We want you to be open to the gifts that you have and how you're supposed to share them. We want you to understand what it is that you bring to each and every encounter and dynamic, you know, fast changing, rapid experience that is happening around you, and know your part to play in it and the value of that. Your Four of Wands is showing me, especially with that Queen of Cups, very Cancerian energy, as you really think about where you feel safe. And perhaps we're to a certain extent with eclipse season, and they just gave me the word ripping you apart, which sounds kind of extreme, but you know, maybe we are just actually pulling you out of the clutches of something that, even though it felt comfortable and safe, actually is no longer the case. And so we have to really consider, you know, what are we holding on to and why, and how is that in turn actually stopping us or holding us back from, you know, really being able to move in the path that we're supposed to right now. So this is the kind of conversation that I feel is playing out. And what's going to happen, Virgo, I feel for many of you, is that you'll come up against a lot of people, conversations, experiences this June that will show you what doesn't feel good to you anymore. It's, you know, like when you try to return to an energy and it's just like, that's just not working. Like I can't get on board with that anymore. It just doesn't feel right for me. And so that's going to translate in you having to just say, I can't do it. I can't go there. I can't be that person. I can't say yes to that. But then it's almost like the universe comes in right behind it and says, okay, well, if you're not going to do that, then what does that mean? You have to do this. And so anytime there's a no, then there has to be a yes to something else. And what we're seeing is that June is the actualization, the actual physical act of following through on what it is that then you want to say yes to, you know? So it's a really interesting journey that I feel are going to be taking you on. But we also have a lot of celebration that's coming through, which I really like for this month for you. And I think many of you are going to be recognizing some of the achievements that you have already put into motion, or there's an encouragement certainly to start sharing that in a bigger way, because that's going to do really well for you. But I also think news and messages are making their way towards you. Now, definitely the second half of the month feels a little bit easier, especially when Mercury is direct after the 22nd, even though you'll still be a little in shadow. Lots of information coming your way that I think is about celebration. So something to feel really proud about, even if it's sort of happened like quite some time ago. It feels like you might be linking back to something or even someone from the past, but it's certainly something that I feel you're going to feel good and positive around, okay? The Sun is also trining with Jupiter on the 23rd of the month, again, just after the solstice energy. So it's a gorgeous little run during that time. So if there's anything that you want to do or want to plan that you have in your thoughts about kind of bringing people together or having some aspect of just reminding yourself about the good aspects of life, is a really nice time to do it. Any kind of rituals around the solstice are going to be very beneficial for you, very healing, very grounding, and just kind of level you in the way that you need to. So yes, it's going to be a time where I feel the universe is going to call you out a little bit, but only in the things that you keep doing that are not serving you, where there's a little bit of self-harm and self-sabotage in play right now. And that includes, you know, staying around or sticking around for longer in situations, connections that just are no good for you at this moment in time. Okay, let's take a look at these oracle cards, see how they are wanting to join the conversation. Okay, Dream Thief, refusal of the call. Interesting. Okay, so like we said, sometimes the universe gives us a bit of a nudge, sometimes it's a bit of a spiritual slap. And I think it's not that I'm seeing you like out and out kind of saying no to things that you're meant to be doing. I think there's an absolute awareness that yes, I'm supposed to be doing this, but it's more like an avoidance. So rather than a refusal, that's what I want to say. And so I guess there's an invitation here to think about, what am I putting off right now? What am I putting off and why am I putting it off? And I think that's going to give you some really interesting answers this month. And especially as you feel the energy start to change. And it's a strange thing, right? Because sometimes even when we want change and we court it and we actually see that it's good for us, you know, it might be like a brand new job opportunity, or we're going to move home, or, you know, we're going to get divorced, or we're going to commit and we're going to come together with somebody. You know, these are the type of things Eclipse Energies brings in, you know. It's really big breakdowns, breaking open, breaking through. But even when we want them, we can still find in the process that we're kind of digging our heels in and having that real resistance to it, just because it's so alien and uncomfortable to kind of uproot our lives in so many different ways when we're kind of peering into the unknown a little bit. So I think this question that you need to be asking yourself is, what am I avoiding? Where do I feel a sense of resistance, even to the things that I know are good for me? And how can I start to soften that resistance? And how do you do that? It's just reminding yourself of all the reasons that you actually want it, or you can see that it would be good for you. In some ways, I think the energy will help you, because where you're trying to stay involved or rooted to things that are not going to work for you, I feel it's going to be quite an uncomfortable ride in that instance, you know, and you'll just see the energy start to back up and get a little bit fractious and difficult. And so it's not going to be it's not going to take a rocket scientist for you to figure out, you know, maybe that's not the best decision right now, or I really feel like I have to go and I have to do this now. Like we said, when things happen this month, I do feel they're going to be happening on quite a big scale. All right, so let's have a look at this astrology card for you. Okay, you have yang, interesting. Expression, doing, and forward motion. Now, the duality of the Gemini energy helping us to find that balance between our yin and yang, helping us to understand that this is a time to actually be taking control and moving things forward. And any desire that you have to want to make really meaningful change in your life or to do something for yourself, is going to be fully supported. So I also have a sense that you're going to have some really powerful allies that show up this month for you, Virgo. I think there's going to be a couple of heavy hitting signs that you just can't miss. And I think that you are going to be feeling this sense of almost compelled to do something, compelled to go somewhere, just like this absolute pull that's like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I just have to do it. I have to do it. I have to go there. I have to reach out to this person. I have to make this decision. And these wild card decisions, right, they are going to work in your favor. Beautiful sun energy shining through there. But it is important to find that real beautiful balance within yourself through the course of June, so that you don't feel like swept up in a kind of tsunami of energy outside of you. So this is a general reading. If you would like to join me for the extended Virgo, we're just going to have a conversation for another 20 minutes or so, going into a little bit more detail, see what else we can pull out for you. Just going to invite you to think about a question that I might not have answered in just the main general spread right now. Pull a couple of cards for you with that. Okay, you can find the link for the extended reading in the description box and the comment section underneath. And if we begin by clarifying this Three of Wands with the Six of Wands, nice. And the Ace of Wands, beautiful. It's time to claim it. It's time to seize something that's yours. You've wanted it for a long time, and maybe it's about just finally saying, you know what, I choose my happiness in this instance, and what comes with that. Page of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles. You're going to be busy. Queen of Wands, nice. Might have earth energies or fire energies around you supporting you right now as well. And especially, like we said, with that wheel coming in. There's that resistance again, 10 of Wands. I can't do it. I can't take it on anymore. I'm not sure this is the right time. Just be aware of the sort of answers that you're giving. So we've got the 10 of Swords, the Lovers. We talked about relationship situations there. We've also got the Star coming in. Sign of Aquarius showing up there. The clarification of the Three of Swords is really necessary, actually. It's like, awakened to the truth of something, and then you know where you stand. You know what you're dealing with. You know why you feel the way that you feel. And I think that's going to be helpful, especially in a kind of hazy retrograde season where things can feel very confusing and misunderstood. 10 of Cups, you've also got another wheel coming in. Interesting. Another Page of Wands. Such a interesting message coming through there, possibly from a fire sign, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, but on its way in. I think you are going to feel really happy about this, though. Not all the information revealed straight away. Nice grounded energies coming in here as well. Things coming to a point of completion. Who's this King of Cups for you? Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. Where do they sit in relation to this story? We'll take a look at that. 9 of Cups, 5 of Cups. Okay, Virgo, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a beautiful month of June. And if you're joining me for the extended, I look forward to continuing this conversation with you. Take good care, and I'll see you again next month.